Welcome everybody to episode 25 of Everyone Hates the Commissioner. Mr. Fister Baby 69 is back. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
I'm living. I'm living. How about yourself, Nick?
Doing pretty good. Um, I the old David versus Goliath story last week. I appreciated that very much, especially all the shit talking you did the night before.
Yeah, some would say I had a few too many cocktails that night, but I he took it to me. I had it coming. I talked enough shit. And then
Yeah.
Sunday you messaged me. I'm like, I have no words for him. You're sending me memes. I'm like, I talked my shit last night. I just got to eat it today. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was close. It was a close one though. It was what you went by 6 points, 7
Yeah,
points.
it was uh it was a little close, but that's okay. I needed it. Needed that. So well how you doing and what do you got going on this weekend? Anything fun?
I'm trying to think. So this weekend we got so Brock, his brother, David, we call him Dingo. He has a bags tournament every year.
Hmm.
So I think that's on Saturday. Kind of our defending champs. So we got a reputation to hold up. So I
All right. Well, good
think
luck
that's
to
that's yeah, that's Saturday. And then I don't know, Packers play what, 3 on Sunday?
I believe so. 3 or 3:30 they play against the Broncos, so I'm not really sure how that one's gonna go. I'm actually kind of nervous. I know the
Yeah.
Broncos are kind of a shit show, but I don't
Some would
know.
say we are too, but
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna be going down and we're gonna be in Madison all weekend, so should be a good time and then be back for football on Sunday.
absolutely. I'm gonna try to watch some football. I'm moving out here pretty quick. I got a week left at this
Right.
place, so
Are you? Nice.
I gotta find some time to start packing some stuff up. So
Are you staying in the area or
yeah, I'm moving a mile down the road.
oh nice. So not too bad.
So no, not bad at all. But
Nice. So well, how you doing in fantasy? I know that like we kind of touched on it a little bit. So you are Fister 69. So how you doing this year in terms of like what are you kind of your thoughts on your team and your record and everything?
I think it's going as expected. I would have liked to still be undefeated, but someone had to ruin that for me.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think my strategy is kind of work. I mean, all depends. Doesn't really matter till playoffs, but I think my strategy of kind of selling out has worked so far. At least the last, granted, last year I didn't make the finals, but I think I'm in the mix again this year, and I think that's my plan in the short term. We're not really looking for the future, but I think I'm right where I should be.
Yeah. So you and I played in the third and fourth for the third place last year in the playoffs. So but yeah, I would say you shipped off a lot of your picks. It's kind of like the Les Snead of the Rams. Fuck them picks, right?
That's absolutely correct. The only one that's getting me right now is I didn't think Bo would be in such a bad position that he's in. So that first rounder I traded away to Kai is kind of biting me right now. Granted, I got Javante in a second rounder for it, but
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
and Bo actually he sent us that text a few days ago, or was that yesterday, about we can all calm down. So Bo is definitely not was not expecting a 1-in-5 start to this year. So things aren't looking very good there. But at the same time, he is giving up 880 points through 6 games. So which is the most in the league, and the next highest is 815. So 65 points or so. Yeah, so he definitely he's not the highest scoring team, but at the same time, he's been getting it pretty hard in terms of who he's playing this year.
yeah, it's been tough. I think he'll still end up middle of the pack. I think he'll turn around. I think I actually do play Bo this week, so
So
I'll
it's
chuck up
actually
another one.
yeah, it's actually kind of funny. I'm looking at it right now. So Brian is in sixth right now, and he's 3-3, and then we have 3, 2, and 4 teams and 3, 1, and 5 teams. So it's pretty. It's so in terms of like in victories, it's pretty in 3, 5, and 1 teams. So actually, I'm sorry, 4, 5, and 1 teams. So it's pretty top heavy and pretty bottom heavy. There isn't really much in the middle from what I'm
Yeah,
seeing. So
agreed. I think you and Kai kind of talked about last week. It's kind of status quo. It's kind of what we expected. I think where teams are right now. Like I said, maybe not Bo, but otherwise, I think everyone's kind of status quo where everyone's kind of supposed to be.
yeah. Yep. So it'll be, but like you said, it's all about making the playoffs, and if you can kind of float where you're at here for the rest of the year. You're in second place, only be not because of record, but points for. Dan is leading the way there with 970, but he might be a little bit tough to catch up here for at least for a couple weeks. I mean, I got him, and we kind of talked about that for a while. That and you had texted me yesterday. This is the rough week 7, so obviously you can't plan ahead years in advance in terms of buys, and I don't really care about the buys anyways. But I mean, it's gonna be rough this weekend.
It's a tough one. Yeah. What are the odds? Those three, your three top five wide receivers in the league, top 10 for sure, are just Drew buys all the
Yeah.
same weekend.
Yep. And then my quarterback, Joe Burrow, who's not been very good anyways, but then, and Damian Pierce, and it's just like, oh boy. So again, Damian Pierce isn't doing so good, but I think I had like 6 players on buy this that I would kind of plug and play guys. They're going to be out. So
Yeah.
sucks.
And I think that's going kind of go back to my team. That's where I have a big advantage by kind of selling out all my draft picks is right now during all these bye weeks. I can kind of plug and play, and the buys don't really affect me as
Yeah.
much as
Cause
they affect, I
yeah,
guess,
because you're
the
so
teams
you're
up
so
deep.
deep. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're incredibly deep. And I guess in terms of I mean, you've played fantasy football for a long, long time, I'm sure. So in terms of buys, would you rather it kind of like spread out a little bit? Or do you or could you like what's happening with me this week? And would you kind of rather just get it all over with in one week?
I think I just rather get over with in 1 week. I don't think ever when I've been drafting fantasy, I've ever paid attention to the bye weeks. It's never really,
No,
especially if you're in it. I mean, because when did the buys stop? The last like 3 or 4 weeks, week 15, 14, are buys done with
all right around there, I think.
something
Yeah.
like that. So I don't know. I've never really paid attention to them.
Yeah, and that's more. I mean, obviously, we went in terms of dynasty. You don't know what the schedule is in the years in the future, but that's usually more in like redraft leagues. I mean, some people kind of keep an eye on the buys and stuff, but I agree 100%. I'd rather just get it over with and then just carry on, and then you don't have to worry about it as
Yeah,
much the rest of the year. So
like you
it's
said, dynasty. You can't plan a dynasty. It kind of just is what it is.
yeah, and it's like you can't uh it's really really hard to go undefeated in fantasy or in any sport for that matter. And I mean, if you got to chalk up one loss for it, I guess it's whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
As long as you make the playoffs, though, right?
That's the name of the game, and anything can happen from there.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Make the playoffs and pray. Maybe get a buy, then you don't have to worry as much.
Yeah.
It's
Yep. I
kind of
know that. Yeah, that it would be nice. You in a buy? Did you get a buy last year? Because
did
I
I?
was a 6 seed.
Oh boy. Um,
Because I know Dan was one, and do you remember? Do you know were you the other one?
that's a good question. Can we go back and look?
Hmm, I'm not sure. We probably could. Let's see if there's some history here, but um, league history. Oh God, look at that! You can actually go all. There's an all-time standings. That's kind of neat.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
are actually tied with Jake and Dan all-time standings at 15-5 with a 75% win percentage.
All right,
That's
I'll
kind of
take it. I'll
cool.
take it. I'm trying. I can't remember if I had that buy last year or not. I want to say I did, and then Brian beat me in the semifinal.
Brian beat you and I beat Jake because I did not get the buy, but let me see here. You did. You did get the
Okay.
buy. And then yep, you played Brian and you lost by 5 points.
I know.
Um,
I just shit my shorts that week. That was
and
bad.
then that one was tough for me too because I ended up losing by 2.9 points against Dan that on that one. So tough, tough. And then we had that awful playout, or I guess that last game of the regular would have been fantasy with that Bengals Bills game.
Yeah, and you probably
So
would. I think what you had. Well, you had Jamar and Burrow left, and I think I was up by what, maybe 20, something like
yeah,
that. I don't recall, but it'd have been. I mean, I'm sure
it
you
would
would
have
have
been a
been able to
close
stop
one.
that one.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess in terms of the league, itself kind of like somebody that we haven't really talked about a whole lot this year is Isaac on the podcast. So I was kind of getting a little nervous because owned his first round pick, which I shipped over to Stu to get the number one overall pick, which I took Bijan with. But he started off a pretty slow there, but he's clawing his way back at 2-4. Um, and got a lot of guys that I just don't see. I know I'm not trying to pick on you, Isaac, if you're listening, and the rest of our worldwide listeners, but I just don't. He's got a lot of young players on kind of the bench, but a lot of very very unproven players. So Josh Allen is kind of like you never know what you're going to get with Josh. Hey, I mean, I would take Josh Allen, but the turnovers, man, with him
Yeah.
is a little rough.
Wasn't that Isaac's first overall pick?
It was
Josh
in the
Allen?
first
I think it
round.
was. I think it worked for him
Yeah,
last year. It's been tough sledding this year.
yeah, and yeah, AJ Brown. I was never. Were you? How did
Sorry.
you feel?
I say tough sledding this year, and I click on Josh Allen. He's the number one fantasy quarterback. I'll eat my word. I take that back.
How are you? I guess kind of going into it. How did you feel about AJ Brown? Because I think he took him in the second round after because he did take Josh Allen. So were you kind of? I mean, obviously he's tearing it up in Philly, but were you like an AJ Brown fan?
Was with the Titans. I was worried about honestly Jalen Hurts. I didn't think he's gonna have a quarterback when he went to Philly because really it wasn't kind of last year Jalen Hurts coming out party, and
Yeah.
that's really when AJ Brown went off. I knew he was. I always knew he was solid, but I just didn't think Jalen Hurts was gonna be the quarterback that he is. So
Yeah, and AJ Brown was always kind of one of those guys because, like you said, he was in Tennessee for his first 4 years, and then was traded on draft night a couple years ago to Philly. But he was always one of those guys, and I don't know if it was just the offense that he was on, but I really never loved AJ Brown that much. But yeah, he's
and I think he
like
was kind of like I don't think he put up massive numbers with the Titans, did he? No,
I
not
don't think
really.
so. No, I
He
mean he
never.
never
He
really had
was.
a quarterback.
Yeah, it's true. I'm just looking at stats right now. He cracked. He had 2 seasons, just over 1,000 yards. One of them he had 11 touchdowns, but yeah, his best receiving season is 1,075 yards before Philly. So, and actually,
Yeah.
AJ Brown coming into our rookie draft. That's when I had the second overall pick in our rookie draft, and I drafted Treylon Burks because I thought he's gonna be the next AJ Brown. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
that's easy, and he ain't done shit.
Yeah, and you moved on from him pretty quickly. Did you
I
give
did.
him a year at least, or did you even, or was it his rookie year that you shipped him?
It was his rookie. I gave him about 3 weeks, and now it's tough looking back at that wide receiver draft. When I take him two, I could have had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Drake London. Who else is in that? I mean, those are the three big ones. But I had my pick of the field. I could have picked any one of those guys, but I thought Traylon was gonna be the guy. But
Yeah, I guess kind of
oh my god,
thinking back, was there really any other first round picks that kind of stood out? I mean, obviously Brees Hall has been very good so far, but I don't know. I mean, like you said Garrett Wilson, um, uh, Olave and London. I don't think there's really anybody else that really kind of like pops off out of that first round. I mean, I took Christian Watson eighth, so and he has his flashes, but he's not in. I don't know if he's in a. I think it's all just kind of hype right now yet from what he did last year. So I
yeah.
don't know if I'd put him in that category of those other three.
No, who else? Yeah, Sky Moore was in the first round.
Yeah,
I think Stewart got him in the first round. I'm
he's
trying to go
just
back
kind
and
of nah.
I'm trying to
But
go back in time here and
here, actually, I think I can find that for you. Let's see here.
if they update this app now. I can't find anything. Exactly what happened.
So we had Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Drake London right after you had took Traylon Burks. Then it was Jamison Williams,
Okay,
Sky
that's what that was.
Moore.
Was that Kai's pick?
Yep. And then Sky Moore, which Stu took Sky Moore. I was right after that. Took Watson. Here's a good one. Kenneth Walker, Stu took. That's
Okay,
he's turning out all right. Jahan Dotson looks good. James Cook, 11th. He's looking good. Had a slow start last year, and then Rashad White was the last pick in the first round there. So that one is kind of depends on the day down in Tampa, which you're going to get with Rashad White. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next draft. Stu is trying to peel away from my 2024 first the last couple days. We are in some talks, but what do you think of I was going to ask you, what do you think of John's method there of kind of dumping a lot of draft capital for rookies?
I think it's worked out for him so far. I mean, well, he won the toilet ball last year, didn't he? Did he not? And then, I mean, what's he got 2, 3 wins this year?
He's 2-4.
Okay. So I mean, better than
Um
expected. I think he's kind of, I wouldn't say 180, but he's definitely turned the team around to a more steadier state than it was last year. So
Yep. Third lowest in point scoring, but and sorry, M, but that doesn't say much being behind M there. That she's been struggling some pretty badly this year. But
yeah, it's a train wreck. It's a train wreck
yep.
down on 9th Street over there.
But John wasn't too far behind Bo with the 815 giving up, which is the second most. So yeah, like you said, I think he's doing a solid job kind of turning things around, but he's taken some swings at some players that I probably wouldn't have, but and actually we can go back and reference that text that Dan sent us to that group, which is actually really cool. Thank you, Dan, for doing that if you're listening. Um, but John has the youngest team in the league at 23.7 average. Then it's Jake, myself, Kai, Cody, Bo, M, or a Stu, then M, and then Aaron. You are on the opposite end of that. On that is the oldest.
I'm up there. I'm up there. I got a little younger with some of my trades. I got, picking up Javante. He's young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cam Akers, granted, I don't really know what his role is yet, but he's only 23 still, I think. I got Brandon Ayuk, Marquise Brown. I mean, they're 25, 26. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Brandon
I have a few.
Ayuk's hit. Go ahead.
I got a few outliers. I got some older. I got D Hop, Thielen, Tyler Lockett. I got some old wide receivers on the bench, which kind of brings up
Yep.
that average age. But
Yeah, and Dan threw in the players that were over 30. So Kirk Cousins, Thielen, your kicker, that's okay. I wouldn't worry about that one.
yeah,
Robert Woods,
Cousins and my
and
kicker don't help that situation.
no, Lockett, Tyler Lockett, and Darren Waller and Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert is an anomaly to me. The guy he's 31 years old. He's still one of the fastest people in football, and it's like, and granted they have Devon Achane now over there, but whenever he's in the lineup, man, it's fireworks. It seems.
Yeah, you don't have to tell Packer fans that we know all about it. We're a victim of the best game of his career. What was that, like 2018
Yeah, yeah, that
NFC
was.
NFC Championship game?
Yeah, and he even back then he was 27, and he kind of came out of nowhere. I don't remember him being drafted. I don't remember him when he was younger, or I don't know what kind of where he came from. He just kind of popped into onto the scene.
No, neither do I. I remember though. I think this summer, actually, I think it was when M and I made that Brandon Ayuk and Marquise Brown trade. I had to make room on my roster, and
Yep,
I had Rashad Penny and Mostert on my roster, and I had to drop one of the two. I was kind of in between them, and so I dropped Penny, and everyone kind of gave me shit for it, like, "Oh, he's gonna be
yep.
starting touches in Philly this year." But turns out I was
Turns
right.
out turns out you made the right call. Yeah,
Made the right call.
Swifties took over that backfield relatively quick in Philly. But yeah, that was a if I didn't know that you were kind of tossing. You didn't know it was a toss up between those two, but yeah, you definitely made the right decision on that one because Mostert just fucking tore it up again this last week.
Yeah,
But
that guy, as long as he stays healthy, knock on wood, that's his one. That's his
that
kryptonite.
that entire Miami team is fucking ridiculous. Just like they just like go out and try to draft the fastest guy in the draft, and then
Word, yeah.
it's
Actually, I was listening to Pat McAfee this week, and they had Mostert on there, and they were talking about all the shit talking the Acne, Mostert, Waddle, and Hill do during practice, and they just talks just steady shit about who's the fastest, but no one wants to race each other because then
Then
Yeah,
somebody will
bragging
know.
rights. Yeah. Then someone will know. He said
Yeah.
there's been some behind the doors stuff that happened that no one will talk about, but that's still pretty wild.
Yeah.
I think those four could probably. They could, well, I'm pretty sure Moser. He was saying he was a two-time like 100-meter champion at Purdue.
Yeah. Put those guys on a relay team.
Yeah, no shit.
The Miami Dolphins relay team. Yeah, that would be something to watch.
I think that's is that where he went to college? Mostert, Purdue. Is that right?
I don't know. Let me take a quick look here.
I thought that's what he said. I know it was a Big Ten school.
Mostert. Let's see. They don't have that on Sleeper. They have everything else on Sleeper, but they don't have where they went to college.
I was right, Purdue. Yep, Mostert
Is
College.
it Purdue? Okay. Yeah, I don't remember him. 31, like I said, 31 years old. I don't remember him coming out of the draft even. And then he was taken in, he was undrafted, actually. That's why I didn't remember him coming out of the draft. So
Dudes.
what do you got going on? You got a little bourbon over there?
Yeah, that was my first sip of the night. We're gonna try to reel her in tonight. We're not gonna have a repeat of last year when I took down a whole bottle of Buffalo Trace.
What kind do you have tonight?
I got I was in between. I kind of took down most of my knob 12 years, so that thing's running on fumes. Got like a pour left in that thing. So tonight I got a little of the Henry McKenna.
Oh, that's a great one.
Pour that. I've only had this is only my second pour of it, I think. So
Ever or out of that bottle?
ever. This is the first. Actually, I think this is the first time I ever had it. I bought the bottle because I've heard good things about it. So that's my second or third pour maybe out of the bottle. So
Yeah, that's a really, really good one. I would if anybody finds that one on the shelves for what is it, about $50, I'd take that.
probably
That's a
for
good.
I was in the Dells this summer. I kind of looked. I was checking out, and I kind of looked behind the counter, and they had three bottles of Buffalo Trace and this bottle of Henry McKenna. The Buffalo Trace was $28 a bottle, and the McKenna was 55. I'm like, can you just round up all those for me? It's
Yeah,
not talking to see Buffalo Trace sitting on a shelf for $28.
I've probably asked you this, but have you been to Buffalo Trace yet?
I haven't. I want to.
Okay. Yeah,
I
we're
went to
actually
I say I was on the Bourbon Trail in May, but no, because what's Buffalo Trace like an hour east of the Bourbon Trail?
it's in Frankfurt, so it's a little ways away. I remember driving about 45 minutes or so from there to get over to Woodford Reserve, about that. Would
Okay.
45 minutes to an hour, and then you can start seeing all the signs like Wild Turkey. I heard Wild Turkey was a good one, but yeah, we're actually talking about maybe going back in spring because we had such a fun time last year. So I'm gonna hit Buffalo Trace up for sure. That one recommend going to do the tour there.
Absolutely. No, I want to get down there. We kind of were just driving through and stopped in for a quick day trip as in me and Tyler on his way down to the Florida for his bachelor party. But I mean, honestly, it's only like what 7.5, 8 hour drive.
Yep,
You can
not
make
bad.
you almost make a long weekend out of it.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to do that again. Yeah, because but the thing is at Buffalo Trace, whatever their bottle is, their specialty bottle. So like when we were there, fortunately it was Blanton's. You have to wait 90 days until you can get Blanton's from Buffalo Trace again.
Oh, really?
So
How do they monitor that?
they scan your driver's license and then they
Okay, that makes
store it.
sense.
Yeah, those dirty son of a guns.
Damn.
But yeah,
He's
so I got a little bit
Basil
of
Hayden's.
course. That's right, Basil Haynes again, the red wine cask finish tonight. So I actually haven't had bourbon in a little bit, so knew I had to break some out when Broast was
Absolutely.
coming on.
How's that? How's that? I've never had that. The
Well, I
wine
love.
that's a wine is aged in a wine barrel, right? Is that what that is?
Yep, yep. So I personally love red wine. And then when you kind of have the Basil Hayden's, the kind of that easier, that lighter bourbon with a little bit of red wine, I love it. It's one of my favorites actually. So it's a good one. And actually, and I think I was had talked to you about and oh yeah, I did. You were busy that weekend, but I'm gonna start having some guys over for drink bourbon, play some cards because I have too many bottles of fucking bourbon. There's no way I'm gonna be able to drink all of them.
I like that. I could use some, yeah, I need to go through some of mine too. Like I said, I got quite a few sitting up there where I've had one pour out of them. Like, yeah, I'm probably never gonna drink that again unless I mix it with something. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
it's
that
nice to bring those places and let people just polish them off.
yeah, and I actually almost grabbed it tonight before we got on. But it was a Baker 7 year, which is from
Okay.
Jim Beam. It was relatively expensive. But the time I tried, I hated it. I hated it. So that's one of those I will want to maybe kind of pass around and let everybody enjoy. But maybe it was
Okay.
just maybe I was having a bad day, and it'll be a lot better the next time I try it.
Good then. That's good to know. I think I've had that Baker sell in my hand a few times. And I'm like, I was what, like 70, $75. I'm like, I don't know. I probably get something. I always get, I'm like, oh, they got Widow Jane. I'll take Widow Jane because I know I like it for, $65.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it's that sucks though. When you open the bottle, you're kind of stuck, you know. And
yeah,
if
it
it
does.
sucks it, and you're pretty much screwed. But
It's part of the game.
what
Dangerous
it
game you
is,
play.
it is. So well, hey, why don't we get into our favorite segment of the show? Get to see Sir Obes. Let's see here. And let's see what Obi has to say about our Thursday night game coming up. So Obes,
Right.
he won last week. It was the Chiefs versus Broncos, if I'm not, yes.
Yep.
And the Chiefs won 19-8. So Obes won again. So let's see what he has to say about this week's game. And we are back with Obi's picks. It is week 7. And Obes, you snapped that little losing streak you had going. You are now 4-2, a pretty good record, on pace for a much better record than last year. See how you can do it this week. All right. This week we have the up and coming Jacksonville Jaguars against a kind of an underwhelming New Orleans Saints team this year. Should be a wonderful matchup for a Thursday night. So, Obi, let's see who you got, bud. Come on. He's going with the Jacksonville Jaguars, everybody. I like that pick. Well, what do you think, Aaron? Who do you got this
I,
week or
I
tomorrow
think
night?
Gobi's right. I think Gobi's going 5-2.
You think Obi's going 5-2 after tomorrow night?
I think so. Is that one in uh at Saints?
Let me check real quick for you, but it's in New Orleans. Yes.
Okay, that makes it a little more. I still think the Jaguars will pull it out. I don't know. The Saints are they're tough to watch on offense.
Yes, they are. But they did get your boy Kamara back, and he seems like every time he's on offense, every game he catches like fucking 10 balls.
Yeah, he don't go very far, but he'll catch. I think that first game back, he caught 13 passes. There's quick 13 fantasy points right there. Anything after that's just kind of icing on the cake.
Yep.
I
So
think he caught 13 balls for like 15 yards. Maybe it's
but
20. It was something.
that was a game that Derek Carr came back. He kind of got banged up against Green Bay, and he came back and was not throwing the ball down the field, if you remember that. So he had like 26 completions or something for like 150 yards. It was something ridiculous, and I'm not getting that perfectly, that that stat line 100% correct, but it was something extreme like that. So, well, what what about Trevor Lawrence? Are you a Trevor Lawrence fan?
I'm indifferent. I don't know. I don't
What
know.
is
He's a
it?
J. I don't know.
Is it?
In my brain, the Jaguars just still have that bad stigma about him. Like, oh, they'll never do anything. They'll never go anywhere. It doesn't matter who's on their team. So I don't know. I think he's top 10 quarterback probably, between that 8 and 10. But I don't know. I think he's better than what they've had in the past.
Yeah, and they definitely
Besides Bortles, should have hung on to that guy right at the AFC Championship game.
1 year they were 13-3, weren't they? And
1
then they
year,
went
I
to the
think so. Yeah.
AFC, and then they got smoked in the championship game, and then it went right. They came back down to earth real quick.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know how it was. I think it was just the magic of Bortles. I don't think they had anyone else on their team besides. I don't know if I
Yeah,
can name one player on that team.
Didn't they have Leonard Fournette at that time?
Was that okay? Yeah, you're right.
I think they did, but yeah, you're right. I don't know if I could name anybody else, but yeah, they are actually going into New Orleans as underdogs, 3.5 point underdogs, and they're 4-2. Saints are 3-3, so it should be an interesting game. I think it'll be a defensive game, which is why the Saints are probably favored in this one because they do have a pretty good defense, but they have really loaded up the talent on the offensive side of the ball in Jacksonville this year. And you took Christian Kirk away from me this last offseason, and then
Did.
they brought in Calvin Ridley. Evan Ingram's has had a resurgence there. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one.
Yep, and then ETN. Well, Calvin really, I still got a bad taste in my mouth. I remember, well, I had him on my team, and maybe the worst trade in our dynasty history to this point. I traded Calvin Ridley, and a first round pick for Darnell Mooney.
Oh,
It embarrasses me to say that, but that's a tough
oh.
one.
Yeah, I guess I don't remember. I didn't remember that one,
It
but
was
that
the
one's
first.
tough.
That was the first trade I've ever made. So I'm like, oh, Darnell Mooney coming off 1,000 yard year. I'm like, what's a first rounder for 1,000 yard guy? And then I'm like, oh, Calvin really might never play again. Throw him in there. But now
Yeah.
sitting here today, I wasn't the brightest move on my end.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because Calvin Ridley is um I saw the stat because they compared him to Amari Cooper. So those guys both played at Alabama. They are the same age. I believe they're both 28 or 29 years old. But let me get this. I can get this here exactly right for you. Calvin Ridley has only played minus his 1 year. He was minus his year that he was suspended. He's been in the league for 5 years, and Amari Cooper has been in the league for like 8 years. So even though they're the same age and they both went to Alabama, Calvin Ridley got such a late start compared to Cooper.
I remember seeing that stat, and I started to work the math in my brain. I had to sit down. I'm like, I don't know how this works out, but I remember seeing that. It was pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yep. Calvin Ridley looks really good this year. Um, I mean, he had a really, really hot start. I think he's kind of came down on earth a little bit. Well, he had 24 points in the week one, then 5, 7, 12, 20, and then back to 6. So, I mean, that's kind of what happens when you got a lot of mouths to feed, though. Um,
Yeah, it's true. And Kirk's been pretty steady. He's not. I think in pretty much every game he's between like 13 and 16 fantasy points.
yeah, which you'll take if you need to plug in somebody on a buy. But well, shall we talk about those? I want to get your opinion on what's going on in Green Bay this year.
I don't know. I was riding a high coming to that Lions game. I was at the game. I'm like, oh, we're gonna swamp after that first pick in the first quarter, first Lions possession. I'm like, oh, it's over. We're gonna swamp them. And then my earth just got shattered. And then it's kind of been. I was pretty high at that point. That was probably the peak, and then it's kind of
Yep.
been downhill ever since. But I don't know. I still think you gotta let Jordan Love just air it out for a season, see where it gets you. I don't know. You look at a lot of. I mean, look at Josh Allen. His first 2-3 years in the league was I
It
won't
was
say brutal. He's not good. He was not fun to watch. And then that like fourth year, he flipped that switch, and now he's top five quarterback. So
yeah.
yeah, I think I think we have to temper our expectations. It really is a rebuild here. Like even no, you don't want to say that in terms of Packers fan. So I think any win just I don't know. I'll take any win. But I think if we go 500, I'd be happy with that.
Do you think that, I mean, like you said, Josh Allen kind of had some time, because they didn't really have a choice. So with because they took him relatively high in the draft and then didn't really have another option. But do you think that the Packers front office will have that kind of patience with Jordan Love? Because I mean, he's only under contract until next year. Josh Allen at the time he was under contract. They had him at 4 years and that fifth year option. So Jordan Love is on the last year of his rookie deal, and they extended him 1 year next year. So do you think that they're going to have that kind of patience?
I don't know. I don't think Packers fans have that kind of patience. I don't.
I would.
I won't say Bills fans do either. But I mean, after going 30 years with Favre and Rodgers. I think it's kind of our expectations are high. So either, yeah, I mean, maybe in this year, if it's we're still kind of in the shitter with him and he's not performing, I say, I don't know, ship him or
So I agree that I think the Packers are fans are going to give up way before the front office, but I'm curious on when the front office is going to finally say, enough is enough. Or like you said, he could, if he turns around, then they're going to look like a genius. But with Buffalo, when they took Josh Allen, they at the same time they were bad for a long time.
that's
Where
very
they,
true.
so they weren't really expecting much different, and then all of a sudden, like the first couple of years was a struggle, and then he kind of turned things around, and they made that trade for Stephon Diggs and all that. But yeah, they were already low. Where the Packers fans, we've been riding high for a long, long time.
That's true. And I do think, I mean, I think Lovey's showing those glimpses. I mean, he's basically a rookie, maybe not quite, but I mean, it's first year starting. But I think he's showing glimpses of what he can do. I think kind of like you look for in a elite quarterback.
Yep.
I put back to like even like I don't know, like Herbert his rookie year. Like he had a good rookie year, but you could just kind of tell he's going to be kind of a guy just the way he threw the ball.
Yeah, he was making some big boy throws when he was a rookie. He's got a cannon for an arm, and didn't he lead? He was up towards the top of the league in passing yards too as a rookie year, I
I
believe.
think so.
Yeah.
Also, I think we just got to open the playbook. Let him air it out. I mean, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. So
Yeah,
now I go back to that Lions game where we went five wide for the first two possessions and went absolutely nowhere. So
yep. Yeah, that was frustrating. We'll throw it like 5 or 6 times in a row, and like you said, didn't go anywhere. But how was the vibe in Lambeau? Kind of obviously, probably like I think you told me it was the place just exploded and it was electric after that interception. But it didn't take very long after that before it started going the opposite way for the Packers. But how was the vibe in Lambeau that night?
it was kind of disappointing. I never want to see Packers fans boo the Packers. You're in there for the long haul. We had a couple bad games. It's a kind of like I said rebuild year, but you got like guys talking behind me. They're talking about fire LaFleur. I'm like, shut his fucking Rick. He's a welder over truck behind me talking about how he knows how to run the Packers organization. I'm like, it was up to that guy. We'd have a new coach every 2 games.
Yeah.
Every time we come off a loss, but no, the vibes were. I'd say it was a roller coaster. They started high, went down very fast, kind of started to chip back, came back up, and then they kind of slammed the coffin door on us, and then just the all the Detroit fans there.
Yeah, I bet. And actually, saying that like the Detroit played in Tampa last weekend, and I remember kind of catching a glimpse of that. There was a lot of Honolulu blue in Tampa last weekend too. So their fans are coming out of the woodworks now that they're playing a lot better.
As they should. They deserve
Yeah,
it. They went through
they're
hell
they're
for
five.
a very long time. So
Yeah, and they're now 5-1. So what do you think? What do you think? We kind of touched on it briefly before, but what do you think about this week about with going into Denver?
is it at Denver?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh shit. I mean, I think it's just a big week for Love. You gotta if Justin Fields torched the Broncos defense, you gotta torch the defense. I think they're by far the worst defense in the league with yards given up and touchdowns given up.
Yep. Well, that didn't help when they gave up 70 to Miami.
I suppose, yeah, that'll skew the stats a bit, but
Yeah, I mean, going in on the road, the Packers are favored by 1.5 points. Um, but I just kind of, and I don't know if you can really even call this a trap game because they're both playing pretty poorly. But I just kind of have this feeling um that we're gonna lose this in a close one, which is gonna be
yeah,
tough.
and I would say it's probably a must. It's a must win if we want any shot at making the playoffs. It's
Yep.
pretty hard to dig out of a 2-4 hole. I think if you can go get it back to 3-3, I don't think our schedule is insanely hard the rest of the season. But I
Yeah.
don't know what kind of record do you think is going to make the playoffs this year. You think a 9-8 will get in again?
Well, the NFC is pretty bad after the 49ers and Eagles.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, now you have to throw Detroit in there. So that's three 5-1 teams. But I feel like kind of after that, you don't really, there's just this, it's just a huge drop off and you don't really know what you're going to get. So, I mean, I think Seattle's going to be good. Rams are definitely a lot better this year with Stafford healthy. I I don't really know who's going to win the NFC South. I mean,
That's a
that's
tough
that's a
stuff.
that's a tough one.
Like,
Obviously not Carolina.
right,
There's
Tampa.
yeah, Tampa or Atlanta. I'm not sure. That's a tough one. I mean, obviously the rest of our division is pretty bad with the Bears and the Vikings, but I don't really know what else is there. So it could be. I mean, you might be able to sneak in at 9-8, but and we have the record to do it. Or I'm not the record. I'm sorry, the schedule to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Easy schedule, but the Vikings, I'm really enjoying this. The Vikings struggling, being only 2-4. They just won their second game this last weekend, and they are playing San Francisco this week, and I think they're gonna get fucking curb stomped over there by San Francisco, even though it's in Minnesota.
I'd assume so. I hope so. Oh, Niners are good.
They are actually in. That's kind of crazy. Both the Niners and the Eagles were 5-0 going into last week, and both got beat up pretty bad against a couple of good defensive teams.
Yeah, they both scare. And the craziest part about both those teams is their weakest points probably their quarterback. I would say I mean, when I think of the 49ers, they got like Purdy's he's a good quarterback, but that still might be their weakest link, which is kind of crazy to say.
Yeah, I mean that team is loaded all the way around. Philly, I mean, I think they lost a little bit of secondary help after the Super Bowl run, but yeah, they're stacked as well. So it's yeah, that's kind of scary. But to lose to both of them, to lose to some defensive top defensive teams in the Jets and the Browns, that was kind of an interesting um thing to see this last weekend. I would have never guessed. I mean, granted, it was rainy and kind of crappy in Cleveland, but I wouldn't have bet any money, especially against who did Cleveland throw at quarterback? PJ Walker?
Did they?
I
I don't.
I
I,
think so. Yeah, because Deshaun Watson was out. So, but yeah, that was kind of crazy to see. But
who
we were
did
all
Philly
there.
play? Who did Philly play again?
The Jets.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
So Zach Wilson got beat the Eagles.
Jets are another team. If they can hold it together until I don't know, I feel like Rodgers coming back this year. If they can hold together and wait for him
Do
to get back, they could be extremely dangerous.
you think he's coming back?
Well, do you see that video of him before the game? He's on the field throwing without any crutches, or he's kind of hopping around. It's like, what the fuck
Uh,
did you? It's you just tore your Achilles what a month ago.
Yeah, and do you watch any of the Pat McAfee interviews with him?
I do. I was actually watching today, but I had it muted just because I was working from home. But
Okay.
I usually catch most of them.
Yeah, I've always really, I mean, I've said this before. I loved watching Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's a fascinating guy. So I like watching when he is on McAfee, but yeah, he said he's ahead of schedule and don't and not to kind of rule anything out, and that would be wild if he can um come back. And he's probably plays the right position to not have to be at 100% with that Achilles. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
like
that's true. And
it's not.
yeah, I'm no doctor, but he looks like he might be coming back. And I don't know, they got a shaky. Did they have a shaky line?
Yes.
So
Yep, they do. So I don't know if they keep playing well, getting. I mean, if they stay in the playoff hunt, I think then he's going to really he's going to push it a little bit, but because he knows his window's closing as a player. So if they can sneak it in, I think he's going to do anything he possibly can. But if it's kind of a wash lost season, then what's the point? Don't rush him back.
yeah, I'd agree. But I
And
don't know. I'd like to see him out there. It's kind of a I don't know.
oh
Part of me thought it was kind of funny. Just such a Jets move. Like you finally get a quarterback and he tears his Achilles in the fourth play. But also, I love Aaron Rodgers, so I don't want to see him go
yeah,
down. So, but
right. Yeah, that was a tough scene. So we got a couple good matchups this week, including the Sunday night game. I'm gonna really looking forward to. Hey, that reminds me. Did you end up winning that big one that on Sleeper that big one that you had sent me?
No, I lost. Eckler didn't get over 80, what was it, 86 and a half yards.
Oh, that son of a
He went to
bitch.
the fourth with, yeah, that one hurt my brain. He went into the fourth quarter with 62. It was over 86 and a half passing and rushing yards. He had 62 going the fourth. It was a tie game. I'm like, oh, he'll probably get that. I think he touched the ball twice, both for like negative yards. So no, missed out on that one. But that was
Have
a
you
shot in the
won?
dark, anyways.
But you won for sure on one of those those prop bets, haven't you?
Yeah, I've actually, since I've joined that sleep wrap, I've won quite a few of them.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to come to you for advice because I have lost more than I've won.
Okay. Well, so have I, but it always kind of evens out. Well, the thing is, I always do like I'll do like the $5 like eight leggers that are like times
10
80,
or
90%
100 or whatever.
odds.
Yeah.
And that's what that one was. I think it was an eight legger, hit 78, just had to get the Austin Eckler over. And I think I bet $3 to win like 287.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know, never expected to win it, but
Right.
I think I had two home runs. I had a Bryce Harper and a Schwarber home run mixed in there, which kind of juiced it up. They both hit home runs. So,
Well, yeah, and what makes you even like think about throwing that in there?
no, no, because you can play around with it and you throw one of those in there,
Yeah.
just juices up the odds like crazy. I'm like,
Oh
wow.
yeah.
I'm like,
What
yeah, that's
was
$3.
what was the odds on like what did it what was the multiplier on a home run? Do you remember? Was it pretty significant?
3.5 for both of them, I think.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm struggling there a little bit, but I'm still playing with house money, I say, because I put 100 in and they gave me 100 so for
Yep.
free. So I'm still playing with house money at this point. But Sunday night, so going back, Sunday night is going to be the Dolphins and Philly. Um, so that'll be a really, really good Sunday night game. Might have put a little get some bets on that one because I'm planning on watching that whole game. That should be a really good game. I actually think Miami might sneak that one out
What's the spread
because
on that one?
1.5.
Miami? Is it in Miami?
Nope, it's in Philadelphia, and
Okay.
Philly is 1.5 point favorites. But I actually kind of think that have the Eagles. Yes, they're 5-1, but they haven't like looked that great in my opinion. Like just overall, it's kind of a slow burn over there. They've had a couple good like flashes, but I think Miami overall has just looked more dominant this year. So I don't know. I'm kind of like Miami in that one.
I'd agree. I'm rooting for Miami. I got Tyreek and Mostert on my my fantasy team, so
Yeah, you'll have
yeah,
to try to
you got
make a
both.
move and
You got
get.
both of them.
Yeah, you'll have to try to make a move with Bo and try and get Devon A-Chain or A-Chain or whatever you say his name, and then you can keep that speed, that Miami speed going on in your
Yeah,
lineup.
yeah, he can stay out as long as he wants. I'm enjoying the Mostert
Mostert.
ride.
Yeah. Um, Chargers Chiefs. I think that'll be a solid game. Those divisional games are always good. Rams and the Steelers. I think will be another good one. Oh, this one's going to be really good on Sunday at noon. Detroit and Baltimore. That'll be a lot of fun. That one's going to be a slugfest. I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, I think I have that as was that
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
my underdog. I think
yeah. Well, then why don't we?
Lions are dogs in that.
They are 3.5 point dogs. At least they started that. They opened that with that. But I guess kind of since you were kind of talking about that, should we do some predictions right away?
Yeah, I like it.
Let's do it. All right. There's Obes again. Nope. There we go. Okay, players of the week. So this week you had your boy
Yeah, gotta go with the home team.
Raheem Mostert, 17 carries, 115 yards, and 2 tutties, and then added another touchdown on 3 receptions for 17 yards. Another big day down in Miami.
Not bad. I was not disappointed on that one. So
What did he end up? I'm sorry, I should have put this added the points in there, but he ended up with like what 30? I mean,
34,
that's
35.
18. Yeah. Yep. Not a bad day down and those guys I've noticed they're kind of taking a page out of Dallas's um book where they wear white at home now, which I don't know. I kind of like those turquoise, not turquoise. Well, is it turquoise? I kind of
Yeah,
like the when they all go all green or green jerseys once in a while, but they've been wearing
yeah,
white a
sure.
lot.
Whatever works. Miami feels like a white city. Like
Yeah.
got roll the got roll the light. Do you think it's like a light color thing? We want to be wearing a light color down in Miami. It's so damn hot. Make someone else
Yeah.
wear a dark color.
Yeah, probably. It's not too, it probably isn't too far off. So I'm going with Cooper Cup. Second game back, second or third game back, and he's looking like his normal self. With 7 catches, 148 yards, and a tutty this last week against Arizona. So yeah, that was he's I thought he was going to probably start taking kind of falling apart a little bit, but he is still playing at an elite level. That
Yeah,
little
agreed.
slant that he does and kind of that little where he starts to like he'll start going out to the outside and then just cut in on a slant. I mean, he burns everybody on that every time. It's like they have to know it's coming, but he too good, too good.
Yeah, agreed.
So
What was he out with a was that a hamstring?
it was something. I think it was a hamstring or ankle or something. Yeah, something with one of his legs. It was out for the first 4 weeks for sure because he was on. They put him on IR. So four
Yeah.
weeks, and I think they had a bye, and then here he is.
Yeah. Those hamstrings make me nervous, especially older guys. I feel like they just nurse it for the rest of their career. Like, yeah.
Oh, right, right. Which is why I've had such a concern about Christian Watson. I mean, I feel like he's working that thing. I mean, he's out on the injury report way too often with that. So it sucks.
Agreed. Also, when
So
he's on the field, I don't think Jordan Love knows he's on the field. I don't he doesn't throw to him at all.
well, he did throw to him a lot in that against the Raiders,
That
but
Raider
he was
game.
throwing him to him when he was like triple covered. It's like, guy, there's got to be somebody else open if there's three people down the field on Christian Watson. So I was a
Yeah,
little, we don't have to get into that. I think I had my rant on that one last week. So,
fair
all
enough.
right. Player to watch for you. That's your boy. Oh, look at that. Speak of the devil.
It is. Gotta do something this week, now or never.
Jordan Love.
Especially
That like
against especially against Denver. You got to show against Denver. If I think if he comes out and lays down against Denver, I feel like it's just all over. I don't know.
like for him or the Packer season.
I think for both. I don't know. I feel like yeah, come on, at least you got to put up at least 250, 2 touchdowns against Denver minimum.
Then are you good with tanking for the old Mr. 13 out of USC?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. I don't think. I mean, obviously we'd have to really. We still have
We
2 wins.
got
Yeah, I think we could do that.
to
You can make it work.
well, as long as he doesn't end up in Chicago or even worse, Minnesota. I'm actually, and we can talk about that before we finish up for the night. But I'm gonna go with your guy here too,
Boy,
Brandon Ayuk against Minnesota. So Minnesota is just awful this year. Debo Samuel is on the injury report, a little banged up. Not sure if he's gonna go. So I think Ayuk, who's kind of having a breakout year this year, is gonna get. Um, I think he's gonna get a lot of targets on Sunday night, or I'm sorry, Monday night against Minnesota. So
so
I
I
think he's
should
gonna have a
start him.
field day.
So I should start him.
Well,
I
especially if
think he's on my
Debo is
bench
out.
right now.
Yeah, if Debo doesn't go, then for sure I would start him on. But I'm not playing you this week, so I can give you all of my unsolicited advice.
Okay, I like. Maybe I'll plug him in there. I'll take your advice. I'll plug him in. It's always tough having Debo and him. It's like okay, I feel like they kind of switch off weeks,
Right. Yep. So
and
here we
I
go.
never seem to hit the right week. I'm pretty sure Brandon Ayuk, his 2 biggest games, he's on my bench.
That's frustrating. So frustrating. All right. So lock to win. And it's a we're all locked up in a record both at 4-1 here. So who do you have for a lock to win this week, Aaron?
I did have the Packers.
Yep. You
Like
love
I
those
said,
Packers this week, don't you?
it's a must win. If you don't win, the season's over. Gotta win one. Surprise for 1.5 seems fair, but no, I think it's must win. Otherwise, throw the season away. Tank for Caleb Williams, like you said.
Yep, let's do it. Do it. Well, then we can. Then I'll be happy again because I'm not a big
Yep.
fan of 10. So here we go. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills. They're gonna be playing New England this week. New England is as much of a shit show as Denver is right now. So I think Josh Allen and the Bills are going to kind of wipe their asses with New England this weekend.
I'd say so. I like that. Belichick always scares me though. I still have just the thoughts of
Yeah.
the old. Like when you hear the Patriots, I never think of them getting torched. They're always usually make a game of it. So, and I feel like Belichick can come in. Now he scares me. I feel like he can cover any spread he wants to if he needs to.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't think that they have a chance in hell to win the game, but I would not count them out in covering that spread.
Yeah,
Because, like you said, Bill Belichick is still a great coach. Not as good of a GM in my opinion, but still a very very good coach, and he can always keep a had a rough stretch here, but he can keep a game close, especially a divisional game. So, all right, and we have some upsets. So the guest is not doing so hot here in terms of
that's tough.
upsets. So, Aaron, they're gonna everybody. You need to give everybody a hand here. So you got those Detroit Lions this week against Baltimore.
Yep. And it's plus 2.5. Thought I
Yep.
saw plus. Okay, I
And
didn't open
that
plus 2.5.
no so the spreads I put are what they opened at, and then I leave it at that. I don't keep up to date on what they are currently. I can let you know real quick here on if that has changed.
Okay. I don't think I thought I
It,
saw. I thought I looked today. I thought it was plus 3. I don't know.
yep,
Regardless,
yep. It'll be +3 for Detroit. So you think they're gonna go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens, huh?
I don't know. I just don't have any faith in Baltimore. I feel like it's the same shit over and over. I feel like
And do you
Lamar's
think
not. I think Lamar's not. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I think he'll get you to the playoffs every year, but I don't think he'll get you much farther than that. And I feel like every game's the same with them. It's like no mid-20s. They win like 24-21 or like I don't know, something close like that. I just think the Lions are a lot better ball team than they are.
yeah, and we'll find out as I was um kind of listening to some people on the radio, and they kind of what they said was like when they it was a really exciting and like it was kind of like for Detroit fans, it kind of like it gave them a sense of belief when they beat um Kansas City and then the Packers this year. And then what they kind after it was then they called it a big boy game against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay having a solid defense and a solid team yet, but if they can come in to Baltimore and win and beat them here, then I think then they can really be considered as one of the best teams in the league, which we'll see if they can maintain. It is Detroit, so you're going to see
Agreed.
if they can change the narrative on them, but
We'll see. I think they're gonna keep it close, but I think they'll win.
they'll win.
They'll
I
win. They
think
won't even cover it. They'll win.
I'm looking forward to that one. So I have I'm gonna be I wrote the wrong one here. No, they're not. Atlanta is not playing themselves. Atlanta is playing Tampa Bay. So they are 2.5 point dogs on the road in Tampa Bay. So I'm going with Atlanta. They have that solid defense. They are not using their number one pick in Bijan Robinson how I think that they should, but you know.
No. And Ritter didn't he have a good game last week, Ritter?
Ritter did, and Ritter needs to quit taking the rushing touchdowns away from number 7. That's starting to get old, man.
That's true. You need him to ball out for you.
Yeah, yep, I do. And
You gave away too much for him to not be getting those rushing TDs.
yeah, and they said on the broadcast because I was watching it, they said on the broadcast that that Arthur Smith was kind of just bringing him in, and they didn't want to like run all the tread off his tires right away. But at the same time, like if he's as good as everybody says he is, and he gives you the best chance, and I understand their run first offense and all that, but shit, man, they got to get the ball in his hands a little bit more than they do.
Agreed. Same can be said about Kyle Pitts.
Hey, I yes, 100%. And they seem to be using Drake London a little bit more this year and kind of using him in a more appropriately. But Kyle Pitts, I agree. He's had a couple good weeks in a row. Not great, but better. So we'll see if that kind of clicked in their mind that they should probably throw that big man the football.
One would think. I mean, he's arguably probably the most gifted tight end in football physically.
Oh God, yeah. He ran a 4.40 and he was the fourth overall selection. You think they'd fucking use him a little bit more.
You'd think beats me.
Yeah. But what I was going to say when we were kind of talking about Caleb Williams, I don't think there's going to be a chance in hell that the Packers take him, even if we ended up for whatever reason with the first overall pick. But as of right now, Chicago is in line to get the number one overall selection if Carolina keeps playing poorly. Chicago is not too far behind at 1-5, so they could have two top 3, 4, or 5 draft picks in the draft. So here's my opinion on this. I don't want Caleb Williams to be in our division unless he's in green and gold. But if I had to pick where he was going to go, whether it's Chicago or Minnesota, because Minnesota's had a rough start, I'd take Chicago every time. Every time.
Yeah, because they'll mess it up. They'll fuck it up.
They'll fuck it up. And then if you give Caleb Williams right off the bat, you give him a guy like Justin Jefferson. Oh, jeepers. And then and Jordan Addison, who I believe were teammates last year. Were they not? Jordan Addison came out of USC last year, didn't he?
I don't think so.
He started at Pitt, and then, or maybe it was one or the other, or he started at Pitt, went to USC, or he was at USC, went to Pitt. But either way,
where did he come out of?
I'm pretty sure he was at lost my mic. I'm pretty sure he was at USC. Let me take a quick look here. Yeah. But still, if you I would think that would be an awful
Yep, yeah, you're right. USC. He was at Pitt and went to USC. Okay.
Okay. So
for some reason I was thinking Boston College, but that was Zay Flowers.
Yeah. And Minnesota has a lot of very good players on their team. They just need skilled players in terms of TJ Hawkinson, Addison, Justin Jefferson. So you got a lot of names there with Sun at the end of it. But
I did see, I mean, if the Packers do tank for Caleb Williams, I did see some report that whatever team he gets drafted to, he wants
part of the ownership.
He wants part of the ownership. So if we could draft him, we give him as many fake shares as he wants. Like, hey, you can have 25% fake shares.
That might be the only way he's going to get an ownership of the team is if he comes to Green Bay, he can go get his certificate and hang it on the wall and say he owns the Packers.
Just give him like 10,000. Like, look at all these shares you got.
Yeah. Yep. But him actually getting a cut of an NFL team, there's no fucking way in hell that's going to happen.
No, not a chance. I don't know who he thinks. I mean, yeah, he's going to be the number one pick, but there's been plenty of other number one picks who, like, look at Andrew Luck. Like, that guy probably deserved ownership out of,
Yeah, especially for how many sacks that he took for Indianapolis, right? You should give him a stake of the team.
Yeah, I don't think Caleb was getting shit. But also, I want the Bears too. I want Justin Fields to do okay, so they still believe in him and don't take Caleb Williams with the first 2 picks. I just want them going this shitty cycle. We're like, okay, yeah, he's the guy. Oh wait, he sucks again. Oh no, wait, he's the guy. And they just kind of have to Daniel Jones them. Like, okay, I don't know if we're gonna find anyone better, so let's re-sign him this big contract.
Yes,
and then just be in a continuous shit cycle for years.
Yeah, that would be the best. Yeah, because at that point, when his rookie contract is up, I think it'll be the normal for guys to get 50 compared to Daniel Jones got 40. Yeah, throw Justin Fields 50 million a year, please. I would love that. That'd be great. Eat up your whole cap, a quarter of your cap.
It's perfect. He torches the Broncos defense and Washington's defense, and now they think he's the future again. So I'm like, all right, they're riding high on him. Now he'll have a couple of shitty games. They'll be like, oh no, he's the worst quarterback in the league again, and he'll come back and be like, let's hope it's like a endless cycle. And it kind of is. I still don't think I think he's still an awful quarterback.
Yeah, and one guy that's kind of changing the narrative on an Ohio State quarterback though is CJ Stroud. He's doing very, very well this year. He finally threw his first interception.
I did see that. Yeah, he's sure as hell is looking a lot better than Bryce Young. I mean, granted the Panthers are kind of a dumpster fire, but
Yeah,
and he has no one to throw through besides Thielen, the 33-year-old
yep,
Thielen.
yep.
But
No offensive line. Yeah, it's kind of a mess over there too. We'll see what and they don't have their first overall. They don't have their first round pick. So I
yeah, my
hope
favorite
that
part
works out for.
is well, granted they're like, oh, we need a one wide receiver as they just gave up DJ Moore. Like I feel like you could have packaged something else to get up and get Bryce Young and keep your one wide receiver for your rookie quarterback.
Right. And then do you think though that they could have gotten away if they sent Brian Burns over there? They probably wouldn't have had to give up nearly as much in terms of draft capital if they sent Brian Burns over. Because I know there was a team that offered the Panthers 2 first rounds for Brian Burns, the defensive end, last year, and they said no.
Oh geez, no, I didn't know that. But
So yeah, they might have been able to get off a little bit cheaper and then keep, like you said, keep DJ Moore over there in Carolina. But hey, we'll see. There's a reason why you and I are having a conversation on our couches right now, and we're not in the big building in one of the big 32 stadiums here in this country,
that's
unfortunately.
fair. I've had a few calls, but yet to answer them. You know,
Yeah.
so,
Here, let,
like
let him
I
go
like
to
my job now. No, I don't want to. I don't want a career in football, guys. I like Britton Strand.
Yep. Keep screening those calls, and then maybe when they just wait till they get really, really desperate, and then then maybe you'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll
Hey,
see. We'll see.
you
They have to come with it to get this thing. Yes.
and then you can the number one thing you can put on your resume is that Fister baby is 5-1 this year.
Yeah. You guys want to see my team compared to your team? Yeah, mine's a little better. You know, maybe take a little advice from the
Yeah.
Fister baby.
In 1.5 years in fantasy in dynasty league, I'm 15-5, which is tied for the best in the league. So I'm pretty much your guy.
Someone saying how to run a team. Granted, we don't have a draft pick for the next 8 years, but
That's right. Well, Aaron, hey, thanks for coming on. It's been a good time. And I'm sure I will see you very, very soon. And we will get together and drink some bourbon in the very near future. And then be prepared to lose some money that night when we get the deck of cards out.
I'll be well prepared. I'm gonna bring more than $40 in capital this time. So I'll have to Venmo everyone 80 times. That was a tough night, but no, thanks for having me. Always a good time. We'll
Absolutely.
drink some bourbon soon.
Yes, we will, sir. All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yep.